Have you ever met someone who seemed to have it all together? Let's talk about a boy named Noah. He was quiet, observant, the kind of child who noticed the cracks in people's smiles. He didn't start out broken. No one ever does. He just learned, far too early, that love was conditional and that silence was safer than telling the truth. His father taught him that showing emotion was a sign of weakness. His mother, through her absence, taught him that affection was a privilege you had to earn, not a right you were given. So, Noah built a fortress around himself, something he thought was strength. He became the ultimate fixer, the patient listener, the tireless overachiever. Every "I'm proud of you" he managed to earn felt like a gasp of fresh air for lungs that were starved of oxygen. But inside, a quiet, unseen storm was raging. He would smile when all he wanted to do was scream. He repeated the words, "I'm fine," so often that the word itself lost all meaning. And the real tragedy wasn't that people didn't care about him. It's that they actually believed his performance. They saw the strong facade and never thought to look for the cracks. As Noah grew into a man, success became his addiction, and validation was the air he breathed. He chased applause with the desperation of a drowning man chasing his next breath. He climbed ladder after ladder, collecting trophies and accolades. But with every new achievement, he felt a little more hollow, a little more empty. He mistook having control for having peace. He confused discipline with healing and saw a packed schedule as a life filled with purpose. The illusion held until one night. Alone, scrolling through his phone in the dark, the silence crashed over him like a tidal wave. It was that heavy, suffocating silence, the kind that makes you realize you've been living as a ghost in your own story. Noah wasn't depressed in the clinical sense. He was disconnected from others, from the world around him, and most importantly, from himself. That's the insidious nature of trauma. It doesn't just hurt you in the moment. It fundamentally rewires you. It tricks your brain into believing that numbness is safety, that just surviving day to day is the same as truly living. He even tried therapy once, but found he couldn't cry. He smiled through every single session, saying all the right things, like a star student acing a test on emotions he had never allowed himself to feel. Because no one ever told him that healing isn't an intellectual exercise. It's visceral. It's messy. It's just grief wearing a different disguise. His breaking point didn't come with a dramatic collapse or a loud explosion. It arrived quietly, disguised as simple, profound fatigue. One morning, he just couldn't get out of bed. It wasn't laziness. It was the sheer, crushing weight of maintaining the act for all those years. He looked in the mirror and didn't know who he was without the mask he wore for the world. And in that quiet, heavy moment, he started to hear it, a faint whisper from his inner child. The little boy who was still waiting for someone, anyone, to say, "You don't have to earn my love." The boy who still flinched whenever footsteps got too loud, bracing for a criticism that never came. The famous psychologist Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That quote hit Noah like a lightning bolt. He finally realized that his entire life had been one long, unconscious apology. An apology for being too sensitive, too emotional, too much. He had meticulously built his adult self into a living monument of his own childhood neglect, perpetuating the very silence that had harmed him in the first place. Healing didn't strike him suddenly. It came like a slow, steady rain, persistent, gentle, and gradually cleansing. He started writing, not to create a masterpiece, but simply to survive. Each page he filled became a raw confession. Each tear that finally fell was an act of rebellion against a lifetime of silence. He started taking walks without headphones, forcing himself to listen to the world again. He would sit in silence without the distraction of a phone or a TV, and just listen to the noise inside his own head. At first, it was an ugly chorus of guilt, shame, and a deep, aching longing. But beneath all that noise, he began to hear something softer, something quieter, his own truth. And in that truth, he had a profound realization. He wasn't broken, he was just buried. Buried under years of performing different roles, meeting impossible expectations, and repeating the lies he told himself just to feel safe. The moment he stopped trying to fix himself and simply allowed himself to feel, everything began to shift. He started finding little fragments of the boy he used to be, the one who loved to draw in notebooks, the one who laughed a little too loud, the one who felt everything so deeply. That's the great paradox of healing, isn't it? You don't become someone new. You simply return to the person you were before the world taught you to hide your true self. Real strength isn't the absence of pain. It's the incredible courage to face that pain without wearing any armor. Noah finally understood that love isn't about achieving perfection. It's about presence. It's about staying for yourself and for others, especially when that voice in your head is screaming at you to run away and hide. So, if you're listening to this and any of it sounds familiar, if you've been performing strength for your entire life, please know this: real strength isn't found in silence. It's found in the softness that somehow survived the fire. It's having the courage to say, "I'm not okay," and still finding the will to wake up the next morning. You are not your trauma. You are the survivor who looked at the cycle and decided, it ends with me. The child inside you doesn't need to be silenced or disappear. That child just needs to be seen, to be held, and to be held, and maybe the person who can finally do that is you. Thank you so much for watching and for sharing this space with me. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Take care of yourself